So we are going to build this Airbnb clone. So as you can see in the web application, so there will be the search bar as Airbnb has. So like you can type a location, the check-in date, check-out date, and you can search. And then it will be taking us to the listing page of the properties. So you can see there are multiple properties. So there are basically same properties as I have posted them in the backend. So now you can add them favorite, and you can see that your favorite properties, and you can remove it, and you can also go into the details. So let me click into one of the, you can see also the rating and all the stuff. Let me click into one. So this is the details page basically, so it will be also there and booking can be done. So now let's get started. So there will be a starter folder Airbnb which I will be providing you in the GitHub or any drive link I will be providing you. So basically download it, and after that in this starter pack I have provided all the components and the folder structure basically. So it will be easy for you to get into it. So I have provided all the styles. So we are basically using style components. So I have provided all the styles so that we can focus mainly on the functional part. As in my previous video, we have focused on the styling parts. So you can see there are two folders, client and server. So now let's get started with the front end, that is client. So I will go into the client folder, do cd client, and then we have to install the nodejs node dependencies. So type npm I. So it will be installing all the dependencies for you. So let's just wait and let's just see. So all our dependencies are now installed. So to start a React application, we write npm start, and I will write npm start, and it will be starting in a different port as my previous application is already running. So you can see that it is loading in localhost 3001. So let's just wait and see. So yeah, you can see that app is coming. So this is basically our starting point, which is our app.js file. So let's go into the app.js file first. So you can see it is empty now, currently having a div with text app. So I have a container first of all. So I will be wrapping the whole with our theme provider. So now this theme provider is basically from style components theme. So I have already a theme file provided which have a light theme basically. So you can see in the utils there is a theme.js file which I have basically imported. My previous video also have the same stuff. So you can watch from that also. Now inside the theme provider it has a browser router. So in browser router is basically used for your React navigation. Which uses a router basically. So after that we have a container basically. So inside this browse router we will be having our container, and we will be passing our background color. Basically we are having one background image as you can see in Airbnb. So basically that thing. So if you now reload that thing, you can see the whole page is having a background image, right? So that we have passed basically. So now coming back, so in this nav, in this whole container, first thing that we are having here is a navbar basically. So I have imported navbar basically. So our page is already created, means the component is already created. Now inside this so after this navbar there are routes. So in this routes basically all our pages will be present. So basically we can navigate using our navbar. So in the routes there will be different route, single route. So first one will be the home page. So basically the path will be a single slash. After that we will be having our routes as properties. So I will call the property listing page. And after that we will be having our details page. So it is /id. So in route we basically write like this, :id. So whatever id will be provided, it will be, we can use that id and we can see that in our page basically. So you can give anything and you can see property details page is coming, right? So all our routings are done. Mostly this 3 page will be there. And coming back, first let's create our navbar. So in this navbar, so first thing we will be having the whole wrapper as a nav. So now all the styles are already written. You can check the styles also while implementing this. So inside this nav we will be having our nav container, navbar container, and inside that we will be having our nav logo, and inside that nav logo we will be having our logo. So now in this logo we have to pass the src basically. So that's, I have taken that image from Google. So that is basically Airbnb image. So I have saved that. So yeah, now logo is also done. If you come, you can see that thing. So after this nav logo we will be having the next thing, that is our nav links. So I have given that nav item the style component name. Inside this nav items, we have nav links. So basically nav links are will be used to navigate to your pages using the browser router, right? So as I have told you. So this is basically using React Router DOM, nav link and all the stuff, right? So you can see that. So let us change this nav link. It will be small l because I have already made a new component from the nav link, which is small l. So after that, we will be having all our routes. So first will be places to stay, then contact and blogs. You can create those pages. I will be not making those pages. I will be only creating the properties, home and property details page basically. So now you can see you can easily navigate through your pages, and you can see that it is also changing, right, in our router part. So let's now, so the last part will be our sign in sign up button. So let's just create a button container. Inside that we will be having our button. So it's button. In this button we will be passing our type as secondary. So now all this button and all I have already provided, not only style, I have provided the full component, right? So you have to pass the type and then text and then the size basically. So now you can see sign in button is present, right? And you have to pass the on click function also, that we will do it later. So now our navbar is done, but we have to make it responsive basically for smaller screen. So that we are going to do. So first we will be having our mobile icon, that is a hamburger icon that we see for smaller screen, right? So inside that we will be having our icon. So that icon is from MUI. So if you decrease the width, you can see that icon is coming and rest all the things are hidden, right? So in this menu rounded, give it a style, and we should give it a color of white, or you can give inherit, because mobile icon is having white color. So if you reload, it's not coming. Let's see. You can directly give it color white also, but in mobile icon I have given text primary, change it to white. So yeah, now it's coming perfect, right? So yeah, now mobile icon is also coming perfectly. So now let's define the use state hooks basically. So is open and set is open is a use state hook. By default it's false. Now this will be used basically to open and close the menu for smaller screen, right? So on click function, write an on click function, and in this on click function we have to set, we are making a function basically. In this we are using the hooks function, that is set is open, and in that we are passing not is open. So basically it will be a toggle function. So whenever it is open it will close, and if it is closed it will open. So yeah, like that. So now let's just add the functionality. So I have made a is open check, that if it is open, so I will show the mobile menu, and in the mobile menu I have to pass is open also. So now in the nav link, so do a 2 with slash, and on click set is open as not is open. Perfect, right? So in this nav link basically we are having the same stuff that we had previously in our nav link, and now you can see that there is an animated function which is opening our navbar items and closing it, right? So yeah, and I have added an on click here basically. So whenever you click, so the menu will be hidden at that time. So yeah, now let's copy those buttons. So there will be two buttons for smaller screen, sign up and sign in. I have done that. Just change the style. So I will make it outline both of them. Let's just see. So instead of secondary, just remove that thing. I also don't want outline, so you can just remove that outline also. And now let's just make it display flex, so it will be side by side. So I will write in style display flex equal to 1 and display flex. So it will now look good, I guess, and give it a gap so of 12 pixels. So now it's looking good, right? So yeah. So in the button, give it a type of secondary, and the last one will be normal primary. So it is now looking good, better than previous one, right? So after this, what else do we have? So yeah, mostly on navbar is done. So rest of the functionality we will add it later. So let's just get started with the home page first. For before home page, let's just start with the authentication, which can be important thing first. So in sign in, you can see nothing is coming. So let's just start that. So I will be defining a use state as open authentication and set open auth. So basically a use state hook. for opening our authentication page basically, and by default it's false. So this is defined in the app.js file, right? So I will be using this hooks. So I will pass the set openauth to navbar. So basically now when I will be clicking on the sign in button, I will set the openauth as true, and I will be displaying based on that in the app.js file, right? So I think it seems to be understandable. So in this openauth, I have written the logic if openauth is true, in that case open the authentication page, and in authentication page also I will pass the set openauth and openauth basically. So now I will go to navbar and import this set openauth and openauth from our props basically, and now on this button click I will write a simple on click function so that it will do the same thing. Let us write the on click function. It will open the openauth, basically same toggle type of thing, right? So you can see authentication, and if you click it is closing basically. Now let's just get started with the authentication page. Now this authentication page will be a kind of model, basically MUI model, so which will be taking the whole screen, right? So the rest of the page will be hidden. So I have wrapped the whole thing in a model, and we are taking the two props openauth and set openauth. And now in this model we will be having the function that is open, that is present by default. So we have to pass that open as openauth hook that we are taking as a prop. And in on close we will be calling a function which will set the openauth as false. Now you can see there is some error. Let us fix that thing. So let's see what the error is. So in the model we have to call the container, basically it's empty model, so it's giving the error, and all the things are imported. Now let's just try. So you can see that a dark shadow is coming, that means our container is loaded perfectly. Now in this model, in this container, we will be having first a close button. So in this close button we will be able to close our authentication page, you can see, right? So yeah, so give it a style of SX and give it a color of white, or one give it a red also. So it's now looking good, and in the on click function write a function to close the model basically, or do the set openauth as false, right? So if you close it, it is closed and it is open when you click on the sign in button. So I hope that the functionality are really getting clear to you guys. So yeah, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends, and subscribe GeeksforGeeks channel. So after that I will be creating the use state hooks, that is for login and sign up basically. So now we are having the whole page as a single thing, and inside that we will be rendering the login component, basically the sign in component or the sign up component based on the current state. So the state is login. So if login is true, then I will be showing sign in, and if login is false, then I will show sign up basically. And this thing will be rendered basically using a button, and that I will be showing you. So there will be a text button basically after sign in, and in that there will be written, so don't have an account, sign up, like that. So there will be a text button that is sign up, and in this sign up I will write an on click function on which it will set the login as false. So basically sign up will be open, and the same thing I will be having in sign up part also, where I will be, so you can see now in sign up I will be writing that already have an account, sign in. So in that I will be setting the set login as true, right? So let us change it to true, and let's just see. So you can see that whole thing is working functionally. So sign up and sign in is working. So let's just get started with the sign up and sign in pages, or the components basically, right? So yeah, so in this sign in you can see set openauth is passed basically. So it will be done when we are logged in. So I will set the openauth as false basically. So yeah, the first thing is we will be wrapping the whole thing in a container. Then we will be having a div. So for that we will be having our title, welcome to Airbnb, and then we are having a span and just a small description, please log in with your details here. And after that we will be having, what else, our text fields basically, right? So text fields is also like the buttons. I have already provided with some properties so that you don't have to go into that, so you can use that only. So let's just see, welcome to Airbnb and please log in is coming. So I will be having another div, and in this div we will be having our text input. So in this text input, provide a label, and I will write for email address, and a placeholder would be email, enter your email basically. So now let's just copy and paste this thing. So now you can see it is coming perfectly fine, right? So let's just copy and paste this for password also. So password as a prop, and change the label and placeholder to your password instead of email address. So password as a prop, so it will be showing the toggle icon, icon basically, right? Perfect. Now we will be having our text button to forget password. So now forget password I haven't implemented. If you want, you can implement that thing also. So then after that we will be having our button. So in this button we will be having our text as sign in, sorry, and then we will be having is loading and some other properties, but we are not going to use it currently, because once we are doing the API call, at that time we will implement. So I have removed that thing. So now give it a gap. So I will write display flex for the div, and then I will give it a padding and a gap. So not padding, a gap of 20 pixel, and just give it a flex direction of column. So perfect. So now it's looking nice, right? So yeah. So now let's just go to the sign up page. Our sign in part is also done. So I will just copy this sign in part and just paste in the sign up. So basically we are having mostly the same thing, only we will be having one more input text. So let's just fix this. Perfect. And now remove the forgot password button and just copy and paste the text input and change it to full name, and done, right? So in this button we will be having sign up. So now if you go to sign in, you can see the same thing, and it's looking awesome, right? So our sign in, sign up, basically our authentication page for front end is done. Now let's just get started with the home page. So you can see it is responsive also, right? So yeah, now let's just jump into the home page basically. So in this home page, first thing we will be wrapping it with the container basically. So I will write container, and after that inside this container we will be having a search. So in the home page we don't have much things, but you can put stuff. So basically we are having a search container. So in this search container we will be having a location wrapper, in which in the location we will be having a title, so just a location, and the description basically. So in this description we will be having our input text field. So description is basically a text field where we have to pass the placeholder. Say I am writing where are you going, and then type I will give text, right? So yeah, so you can see it is coming perfectly. After that we will be having our check-in wrapper basically. So I will write check-in wrapper, change the title to check-in date or check-in, and check-in date, then change the placeholder to start date, and type change it to date. So basically now it should come perfectly. And then we have the checkout wrapper. So you can use the same wrapper also, but I have made one mistake here, so I have created different wrappers for the same thing. So you can see that it is date input, and the stuff is looking good, right? So and the last we will be having our search button. So where we are having our search wrapper with a search button, and in the search button we will be having our search icon. So that is basically search round. Now all these icons are from MUI icons basically. So yeah, so after that we have to give the color as inherit and give a font size of say 30 pixel. That would look good. So yeah, so now I can see it is looking perfect like real Airbnb, right? So now in real Airbnb there are many stuff in homepage, but I haven't got into that. You can put them like blogs, contacts, and some of the listings also of the properties. So yeah, now in the home page what else we have to do here is the functionality part, right? So first we will be taking all the 3 use state hooks basically to take the check-in date, location, checkout date, and then we will be navigating to our next page, that is basically our listing page of our properties, and we will be passing all this using our use location. So I have created a function const handle search click, And in this I will be navigating to our /property listing page, and in this we will be creating a new state where we will be passing our location, check-in date and checkout date. So it will be taking from the local state from there, right? And we can use that for our filters. And now let's just implement the functionality for, so I will write value and on change. So value, it will be location, that is the use state hook, and in on change I will set the set location as e.target.value, and let's just do it for all the rest. So I will change this to set check-in date, copy paste, and then I will write checkout date instead of check-in date, right? So I hope that logic is clear here, what we are doing, right? So let's just test and see if it works perfectly fine or not. And in the search button, write an on click function where we will be just calling the handle search click, right? So yeah, let's just see. So you can see that in location I have entered something, in check-in date I have entered, and if you are clicking on the search button, it is taking us to the next page, right? So perfectly fine. Now coming back, so the property listing page. Now in property listing page, you can see by default I have written some of the properties with some prices. Basically I've copy pasted that so that while building it will be easy for us to visualize the thing, right? So yeah, in property listing page, so first thing we will be having the same thing, a container. Inside that container we will be having our properties. So property, now in this property we will be having a card wrapper. Now if you come back, so the container that property thing is coming is the white part, right? In that we have a card wrapper. In this I will be mapping our properties. Now what is map? So when you have a list or array, so we have to map them so that it will be rendering our inner component basically. So that is properties.map, and we will be taking property as a props, as a single entity, you can say, from the map, and then we will be passing that into our property card. So basically now whatever each object of an array will be having, we can use that. So yeah, so now in the property card, let's just get started. So first I have wrapped the whole thing in a card, and in that card we will be having two sections, that is top and details. So top is basically the image and the details is basically the name, location and all those stuff. So yeah, so now let's take the props first of all from property card. But before that, in the top we will be having two things, that is image. Let's just take the property also, that is property from props. Yeah, so in the image pass the src as property.image. So you can see all the images are coming, right? So yeah, now we will be having one more thing, that is the heart icon, so for favorite basically. So that will be coming only on hover. So the styles you can see basically. So now in my previous videos also, like Udemy clone and all those stuff, the styling part I have shown, so I have not focused on that. So yeah, now in the menu we will be having the menu item basically, which is clickable, and on that we have a favorite rounded, and just give it a font size of 20 pixels. So yeah, so now you can see if you hover, the thing is coming perfectly. So the two of the things are done, and give it a favorite border also if you want. So yeah, now it's perfect. Now what else? Yeah, we have a rating also in this. So I will use rating, that is having ASX, give it a font size of say 14 pixel. Perfect. What else? So in this value, let us give it a property rating dot value. Why it is not coming? So basically it's a string. It should come. Let's see. Yeah, now it is coming perfectly, right? After reloading. So yeah, now coming back to the details, our top section is done for the cards. Now in the details we have our title. So in the title we have a property.title. So that is basically the title, and then we have the description, and right, change it to description. Perfect. Then we have our location. So I will write location. Yeah, location. In this location, pass property.location. And what else? We have the price also, so just give it a price. In that we have the current price, that is price.org, original price. Then we have a span, or you can give a strike. for the MRP tag. So I will write property dot price dot MRP, and we have a discount. So for that, just give it a span. So percent, and then change that to off, to percentage off. So I have just created like that. Now I can see it is looking really cool. So yeah, now our card is done mostly. In the details, you just write an on-click function, so it will be taking us, or it will be navigating us to the page for the details page, right, of the properties. So I will just navigate to property / and then we have to give the ID dynamically. So I will write a $property.id. So yeah, now it is perfect. Let's create the navigate. So const navigate equals to use navigate. So this is basically from React router DOM, right? So yeah, if you're clicking, it is taking us to the right page. So yeah, let's just go to the property details page now. So only this is left for the front end. So in property details, I have the same thing. So in the property details, first thing I will be wrapping the whole in a container. Then we have our image on the right side. So basically we have the two part, right and left. So in the left part we will be having our image, not right, and in that pass the src. So let us do one thing, let us remove all of this and let's just have only a single property, so it will be easy for us to write the details page, right, because we are making for a single thing. Sorry. So yeah, we have property. Now write property.image. So after that image, what we have here is on the right side. So we will be creating a right container. Inside that right container, we will be having our title, that is property.title, and then we will be having our description. I will give description as property.description. Then we have rating. So price basically, and then rating will be there. So for price, I will write the same thing that we have in our card, right? So I have just copy pasted that same thing. Then also we have our rating and location. So after price, just give the rating. So it will be having a rating container, and in this rating container we will be having a rating. So the rating is basically also from MEY. So in this rating we have a value of property.rating, and we will be writing read only as, and then we have our location. Sorry, instead of rating we will be writing our rating in value also, in text also. So I will give a span and I will write in brackets, that is our property.rating value currently, right? So it is perfect. And after that we will be having a button. So that is basically a booking button. So in booking container I will be having here is a date picker. In this date picker you can select your date of booking. So this is basically MEY date picker. So give it a label, start date, value and on change. But I will suggest you, in this date picker there was some problem, so it might not show. So instead of this you can just use a simple text date picker that we have already used, right? So yeah, and we will be having a button. So on this button we will be having a book now button basically. So yeah, so the date picker is creating some problem. We will see that later why the problem is, but our main part is done. So basically our home page is done, our listing page is done, our details page is done, and on sign in and sign up you can do all the stuff. But there will be two things for your homework, that is in front end, that is basically your favorites page and booking page if I do. Now coming back to the backend, let's just get started with the backend, right? So backend is basically in the server folder. So in this server folder I have already have the index.js file and all the controller, middleware, model and routes basically. So this is again a starter pack and we are importing all the stuff from here. So let me explain the index.js. So first we are configuring our .env so that we can use our secret file, and then we are having a const app equal to express that we have defined, and then we are writing say app.use express and all those stuff, then error handling, and then connect to the db function which is connecting to a mongodb. And now you have to provide this mongodb url from your env file, and I have already shown in my previous video how to connect with mongodb, so you can check them. and then a start server function, which is our main function, which we are calling the connectdb, and we are defining a port where our application is running, right? So in the env file you can see I have two things, that is jwt and mongodb url, so you can use them of your own, right? So yeah, so that is basically our structure. Now in the routes we have two routes, that is for property and user. For models also we have same thing. In middleware we have verified token. So in this verified token we have our file, that is verified token, that is taking our authorization from the headers and verifying our JWT token to verify the user all the time, right? And in our main thing, that is controller, where we write our function, we have the user.js. So let's just get started with the user.js file. So in this first, sorry, I have given the wrong thing. So for first we are getting started with the models. So model for user.js. So we are creating our user file, right? So user model. So first I have imported mongoose, and then we will be writing our schema. So schema is basically the structure in your database for a single entity like user or your properties, right? So first let's define our user schema. So in user schema, the first thing that we are having here is name, and its type is string, and it is required. So I have given required true, and it is not unique. So I will remove the unique thing. Then we have our email address. Now in email address, we will be giving the same thing, type as string, required will be true, and email address should be unique for all. So it will be having the property unique as true, right? And then what else? So we will be having our password and image, right? So I will write password, that is type string, required will be true, and then we have our favorite. Then in favorites we will be having type as favorite is an array of properties basically. So in that we will be having our id of our properties. So it will be of type array of mongoose.schema.type.object id. So basically the properties is an object, and that id we are having, so we can do it like this. And then for this we will be having as a reference as properties, so that we can populate that thing while we are passing to our front end or the response from our API. And the default value is empty, right? Empty array. So for booking also we are having the same thing. So the properties that we will be booking, so that thing will be present. So just give it a timestamp row, so it will be showing us when a user has been created or deleted or updated, right? So yeah, our user model is done. Now we will be starting with the so we have to export that thing. So I will write export default mongoose.model. So I will give the model name, that is user, and user schema. So now let's just define the properties model. So for the properties model, so we will be having the same stuff that we have in user. So I will just copy paste that thing. So I will write const property schema equals to new mongoose schema, and then we will define our schema here. So first thing that we are going to have here is the title. So I will write title as type string, required true. Then we will be having our description as type description, type string, required true. For description, then we have our image, that is type string, default value is none. And then we have our rating, so type will be number and default value is 3.5. And we will be having the next thing, basically our location. So I will change this to, so I will change this as price. Let's just define the price first. So price is basically a object in that we have our original price, whose type is number and required is true. Inside that we have MRP also, that is type again number, required is true, and we have the percentage of, and type number, required is false, and default value is 0. And then give it a timestamp as true. Perfect. So our properties is done. Then just export this thing, export default mongoose.model. Perfect. Next thing that we are having here is our user controller, right? So let's just get started with the controllers. So in user controller, first I will import all the stuff that are required. So you can see them and import them one by one. Then we have the error.env, bcrypt and jwt. So I will start one by one. So first I will configure our .env. So I will write .env.config. Then I will export a function, that is sign up function basically. So I will write export const sign up equals to async. It is asynchronous function which will be having request, response and next as its props, and then we will be writing a try catch inside that thing. So this is common for all the controllers basically. So controllers are nothing, basically a function which we are dividing into a separate layer, right? So in this sign up we will change this to sign in. I have copy and pasted that. So let's just start with the sign up part, right? So in this try, first I will take email, password and name from our body, and then I will check that if user is already existing with that email or not. So if I have written avoid user.find1 and then I have passed the email and I have written .execute. So now if existing user is already there, so I will create an error, throw an error basically. So I have written next error and I have called the create error function with the 409 email is already in use, right? But if user is not there with that email, so we will be generating a new user, right? So for that, first we are hashing our password. So I have written const salt equals to bcrypt.generate salt async with 10, then hashed password, and so I have written bcrypt.hash sync password and salt. So it will create a new hashed password so that it can't be decoded easily. And then I will create a new user, const user equals to new user, name, email, password with the hashed password. Then I have saved the user and I have generated a JWT token using the user ID basically, right? And it expires in you can give a very long time, so I have given 999 years, right? And then I will send that as a response to our API, right? So similarly the same thing we will do for sign in, and I have copy pasted the same function so that the structure that we are going to use we don't have to write all the time. So I have we will be writing, so our email and password we are taking from body for sign in, as we don't need name. Then we are checking the same thing that user exists or not with that email, and if user does not exist in case of sign in, then we will pass that user not found. And now we will be comparing the password that user has entered basically. So I have written a function that await bcrypt.compare async password and user.password, so it will match the existing password from our DB and our password that user has entered. So now if it is incorrect, so I am throwing an error key incorrect password, and if it is correct, I will be generating a new JWT token and pass it, right? So our next function is booking properties. So I have changed the name to book property, and in this we will be having our const user ID equals to request.user ID. Now in this we are having our property ID from our body, and user ID is coming from the JWT decoder, right? That I have written request.user.id. So user is we are setting at in JWT in middleware, right? So yeah, now we are having const property equals to, I am finding the property. If property is not found, I am throwing the error. If user is not found, I am throwing the error. Same kind of thing that we are doing, right? And now I am adding the property so to the booking array of the user. So I have written if booking not includes that ID, I am adding that thing, and simply we are passing the message that property is booked. Very, very simple thing. We are taking the ID, we are adding that into the array of the user that we have of the book properties, right? Then we are doing a get booked property. So this will be used to get all the book properties. Now this functionality I have not added in Frontend, so you can just simply use this API and just build the pages, right? So yeah, so basically we are taking the user JWT and then we are finding the user, then we are populating the booking, and I have given the modulus property. So basically that is why we were using the mongoose object ID basically in our array, right? In the schema. Then we will be having the same thing, add to favorites. So the same kind of thing we will be having. So we have property ID request.body, and then we have user from the JWT, and then we are finding the user, and then we are checking if the property ID already exists in user So if does not exist, sorry, then in case we are pushing that in our favorites, and then we are saving, and in the response we are sending the property added to favorites successfully. Then we are doing the same for removing the property from favorites. So I will write remove from favorites. So we can just copy and paste the same thing. So we are having property ID user JWT user, same stuff, and then we will check if user dot favorite. So basically I don't have any check basically. So we are doing a filter from the favorites where we are removing the property ID which matches basically, and then we are saving it, and then we are passing, right? So very small controllers we are having. So I hope it is easy to understand, and if you don't get something, you can just comment down below. We will try to help you out, right? So yeah, now the get favorite. So it is very simple. So like we are checking user ID. If user does not exist, pass an error, and if it exists, then simply pass user's favorite model, populating it basically. Done. Perfect. So all our controllers for our user is done. Now let's come to properties. So properties we won't focus. Basically we will be having only two stuff, that is creating new property, deleting new property, not deleting, creating, and getting all the details, which is important, right? So yeah, and getting all the properties with the filter. So these three things we will be having. So first let's create add property function. So I have export const add property asynchronous function, the same thing that we were doing, and then I will just copy and paste this one. I will change the name later. We will be having one more. Done. So yeah, now we will be having the first function as add property only. I will get title, description, image, rating, location, price, all of stuff from the body, and then I will create a new properties, basically fitting that into our schema, and then we will simply save this one. So const created property equals to await property dot save. So in my previous videos also I have shown you how to add multiple properties using a single controller. So basically we were mapping the whole stuff using a for loop and just saving all the time. Perfect. Now let's just go into get properties. Now in this we will be having a filter thing, so you can look this carefully. So first I will define search from our query, and then I will define a const filter. So in this filter first it is empty, so I will see if search is present from our query. So in that case I will do filter, and in this filter we are creating an array where we are checking our title with the expression, we are having description and location, right? And then we have our properties in which we are filtering. We are passing the find function as a filter, and we are sending the details, and then we are returning the properties basically. So in this way it is working our filtering. And now get property details. It is very simple. We are taking the ID from the props, and then we are checking the property is present or not, and if it is present I am simply returning the property. Now one thing you will notice in this property controller, none of them are using user JWT, so that means we don't have to use our middleware in this router basically, right? So all the things are done, only the routes are left. So let's just get started with the user routes, right? So in user routes, the first thing that we are having here is we will be importing all the stuff, that is all the controllers from user. After that we will be having our router defined. So I will write const router equals to express.router. Then we will be writing that router.post. So these are all the API methods, you can say. First one will be post method for sign up, because we are passing the data. So I will write router.post / sign up, and then we have the controller, we have to pass the controller, that is sign up, and then we have router.post sign in, that is sign in. Now for add to favorite we have to pass our middleware. So I will pass in a bracket, third bracket, verify token, which is our middleware, and at the end we will be calling our add to favorite, right? So basically this is how we pass our middleware also. Now I will just define all the routes basically that are needed: get favorites, remove favorites, booking, and get bookings. Now after that we will be passing our we will be exporting our router as default. So I have written export default router. That is basically a structure of routers, and now we can use them. Perfect. Then we will be defining for properties also. I have pasted all the imports. Then I will define the same router, and then we will be passing on router.post add properties. Then we have get properties, router.get id, get property details, and export default router. So done, right? So all our routes are completed. Now only the index.js file is left, where we will be defining our path for our routes, right? So we have to tell our app key listen to this path whenever it is called, right? Or this route. So I will write app.use. I will provide a path that is API/user for our user route, and API.use properties, API/properties for our property routes. So now our API is very simple. So first we are having our server done. Now we will come back to client, but before that let's test our server. So I will write cd server, then write npm I. It will install all the dependencies again. I should have done this before, sorry. So yeah, and then write npm start. So you can see there are some errors that are still coming. Let's just see why the error is coming. So it is showing in user schema we are having some error. So let us check. We have imported mongoose. It is showing ki mongoose.schema is not a constructor. Let's just see why the problem is happening. So the schema spelling was incorrect, I guess. Let's just restart. So I will kill this port, npx kill port 8080. Then I will just restart. So now you can see that our server is running and our mongodb is also connected perfectly, right? So now our server is working, and let's just test this in Postman. So I will just add one property. So I have added already this property and I have tested that. So you can do the same, property.add, and you can copy paste the image basically from Google, the URL, and you can use it. So our server is running perfectly. So the next thing that we are going to start is our implementation of our front end and back end, right? So yeah, so let's just get started with implementing our both front end and back end basically. So yeah, so I have opened our client. So first thing we have to set up is Redux. So in the Redux there is a folder where we will be creating reducer folder. In that reducer we will be having our user slice. So I will tell you what is slice is, and we will be creating a store.js file in the Redux, right? So now coming back, what is a user slice? User slice is basically, you can say that what are the stuff that you are going to save in your Redux, or basically the reducers. So in the user slice, we will be first initializing that with our initial state. So I will write const initial state equals to current user, which is null. Then we will export the user slice. So I will write export user slice. Then we will be creating a new slice, which is important from Redux toolkit, with the name user, with initial state, with reducers. And in this reducer we will be writing update user, and in this we have to pass two things, that is state and action. So state is basically the current the user state, and action is basically what you pass while you call this function basically. So now we will be having login success function, or you can say reducer, in which we will be having our state.current user, in which we will set equal to action.payload.user. So in login success we will be setting our current user, what is coming from payload. In updating also we will set the same, and in logout we will delete the thing. Perfect. So this is basically our reducers, right? And now we will export this. So I will write export const update user, login success, and logout, and I will write these are all equal to as a single action. So user slice dot action, and then I will export this user slice dot reducers. So now this reducer or user slice we will be using in our store, so that we can save them and we can use them throughout our application. In the store I have imported all the stuff that are required. You can see, pause the video and see what are imported. And then I have defined our persist config. So key I is root, version is 1, and storage, right? The storage I have passed. Then in the root reducer I will create a combined reducer of user, that is basically user reducer. And then we will create a persisted reducer, which is basically a persist reducer function, having a persist config. So basically these are all the storage configs and the root reducer and all the stuff where we are defining that user and all the stuff. So now I will write export const storage. So in this we will create our configuration where we will be having our reducer as persist reducer, and then I will get all the middlewares like get default middlewares, like then inside that we will be having our get default middleware, and then we will call a serializable check and having some ignorable actions like flush, then having some persist, pause, and rest of the things. So these are basically constant. You don't have to focus much in this. You can go in the docs of the Redux and just see this. Then we will be exporting our persist storage, that is basically const export persisted equals to persist storage, and then we will pass our store. Perfect. So our Redux setup is completed. Now coming back to index.js, I have already written this, so you can see. So first we will be having our provider with our store and then that stuff. So we can use Redux everywhere. Now coming back to our APIs. So inside this API folder we have index.js file, right? So in this we will be defining all our APIs. So first I have imported Axios, then inside this Axios we are creating our const API equals to axios.create with a base URL I have provided, right? Localhost and API. Now I will create our different functions for our API calls. So first is user sign up, which is a asynchronous function taking data as props. Then it is calling api.post with the user URL, sign up URL, and passing the data, right, for the post method. Then same for sign in, and just change the URL with sign in. Then we will having get all properties. Now in this get all properties we will be having some filters if some user provides a filter, and then I will write await api.get, and then let's just pass the URL, that is property.get, and I will pass the filters basically in the query. This is how we pass the filters in query. Then I will write export const get property details equals to async. Then I will write id and then await api.get with the id. So I will write the URL, that is property, and then I will write id with the slash, right? That is basically we will be getting the details of the properties, right? Then we will be writing const get favorite. So it is a asynchronous function, the same way we are writing all the function, in which we are passing only the token, and id we will be passing in the body, right? So yeah, that is for get favorite. Pass the URL and the data, and we have to pass the token also. So in headers I will write authorization equal to bearer, means colon bearer, and then pass the token. Perfect. So this is how basically we pass our JWT token. So we don't have data, so just import take it as a prop the data. But get favorites we don't need data, it will be required for add to favorites, right? So data and same thing, just change the URL and delete also, same stuff. So all our APIs have been listed. So now create the book property which was left and get book property. Same way, same thing, all the URLs you just follow and just write the same function. Now coming back with our implementation, right? So till now if you are liking the video, just give it a thumbs up. So yeah, next thing is first is property listing, right? So that is the main thing. So just remove all the stuff that was there in the useState hook of properties that I have written, and now create a function so that we will get it from our API. So I will write const get properties equals to an asynchronous function, and then in this we will be having await, that is asynchronous function which will be calling our get all property, that is the API function that we have defined, and then it will call the then that with a response, and it will set properties as response.data. It will call the loading. I will later define a loading and set loading state. Use state hook, which is used to check that it is loading or not. So I will let set loading as true, and then I will call the await get all properties where I will set the set loading as false. Perfect. Then I will call a use effect. So whenever the page loads, I will call this get property function, so it will get all the properties for me. And now let's just check if it is loading. Then in that case we will be showing a circular progress, and if it is not loading, then we will be showing our property details basically. property listing basically, right? So that's all for this thing. Let's check if all the things are perfect. So we have a filter thing, right? So let's just create a filter. So I will write const filter state and set filter equals to, let's just see keyword and the filters. So instead of filters, first we need to get the location, check-in date, checkout date from our location.set that we have already told. And instead of defining a filter, just I will simply pass key const filter equals to location equals to dollar location loc. Then we have filter, we will pass on called filter. So currently we are having only location, and rest we can check later. So let's reload and see some errors are there. Location.state is null. There are some errors already due to the Redux. So previously I was having a snack bar slice for having a toast message. So we haven't made that. So just delete that from all the imports. So follow me and just delete this all imports, so the error will be removed basically, and we can progress further. So open snack bar wherever it is there, just remove this one. So we haven't sign up. Yeah, the snack bar slice. Same, delete it here. Where else? Toast message. Deleted. We don't need toast message, only just delete this thing. Then what else? Index.js, app.js is toast message, remove that thing. Then we have toast message is not there, so where the error is coming. I think the thing is fixed basically. So yeah, I think the thing is fixed. Just reload that thing. Test is done. So persister, change the name to persister. Yeah, now it is working, I guess. That's an ESLint error. Let's just reload and see. So toast message.jsx is still there. I have removed it. Let's just restart once again and let's just see. So just start again. Yeah, now it's perfect. Just give it a location, LOS, and just give it some date just to check. Yeah, so properties of wedding undefined. Okay, so that is basically, I guess, in the card, property listing card. Let's just see where the error is. So just give it a question mark so that if it is undefined, it should come. So let's just test in the network why the issue is coming. Okay, so in the use effect, I haven't defined any default head call, so it is rendering multiple times. So now you can see that one property is listed properly, but the price and location is not coming. Let's just see why. So in the network tab, let's just reload and see which API is getting called. So on the property card, we are passing it perfectly. Why it's taking so much time? All the things are perfect, only price and location is not coming. I guess in backend might be the error. So before that, let's just do the property details also. So yeah, in the property details, just remove this whole thing, create a new hook that is called start date, end date. So that input is missing here, I know. So you can use that as the previous one that we have already used. So yeah, start date, set start date, end date, and set end date basically while booking. And then we need properties as set property. Also, I have missed that in the bookings also. So in the bookings, I'm telling you, like, we have to create an object where we will be having end date, start date, and the property ID, and that we will fit into the booking array. Perfect. So yeah, now set loading also. So you can just do this, or you can see in my GitHub, I will update that basically. So yeah, now in the loading and set loading is done. Now let's define the function where I will be getting the property details. So I will write cons get property details, where we will be having, it is asynchronous function, and now in this we will be having what do we need. So I will write await with what so in the API I have index. Perfect. I will let await get property details, and this get property details we should call the API. So I have changed this name, get property details by ID. So in this we have await get property details, and then we will be having a then function, the same thing that we have. In that we will get our response, and I will set the property as response.data, but we need to pass ID for this get property. So let's just see. I will import this API, and now we need to pass the ID. So for ID we will be taking it from params basically, so that I have written ID equals to use params, and then simply pass the ID for our API function, and then same thing, call a use effect with a default array function, and just get property details by ID. Then we have set loading as false, right? The same thing we have done, right? And now let's just create a loading function. So by default, if it is loading, we will show a circular progress bar, and if it is not loading, we will show that container. Perfect. Now let's just check and see. So I am typing something, and if you click on this, it is taking the details page, and here the price is coming, but why it is not coming in the cards? Let's see. So price, again the same issue is coming. I guess something in the backend for that API is missing. Let's just see that what is coming in the response. So where is that API called? Okay, so price and location is not coming only. So in the backend, let's just fix this issue. So in the controller where we are passing, just add a price. Perfect. And now the price should come. Yeah, perfect. The price is coming now, and the location is also not coming. Let's see in the controller where the API got. Here also location is not coming. Location is null. Okay, I guess that we haven't passed any location, might be. So yeah, this is done. Our server is done. In the properties we have done all the stuff. Coming back to the APIs, yeah. So now let's get started with the sign up and sign in, which is an interesting part, right? Passing the JWT and setting it. So in the sign in we will be having the same stuff. Let us define all the use state hooks, that is dispatch, then button loading, button disabled, email and password, right? So you will get to know why we are using. Then we have a validate input function where we are checking the email and password. So I am creating a simple alert if it is email and password is not provided. So then I will add the value equals to email and handle change that we are passing set password as e.target value. And then in the text button we will be having is loading as button loading, disabled and a on click. And now let's define the on click function, that is const handle sign in, then which is the asynchronous function. Now in this function, first thing we are going to do is we are set the loading and disabled as true. Then we will validate our inputs, basically the function that we created. And now if it is validated, just call the API user sign in with the email and password, and then pass, and then we will call the then with the response, and in the response whatever thing we will get, we will set that using a dispatch with login success of a Redux reducer method, right? And response.data I will pass, that will set current user, right? So then I will do set open auth as false, and then I will write a catch error function In this error we can simply just create an alert, or we can do console.log. I will write an alert. So I will write alert with the error error message error. Just remove this whole thing, err.message, or you can simply write err.message. Perfect. This is perfect. And then I will write a finally function. In this function we will set all the loading as false. Perfect. So I guess this is perfect, right? So let's just try. I will give some email, test@gmail.com, and a password, and says some issue. Let's check into the network tab. 403 forbidden. I guess this issue might be why the issue is coming. It should come incorrect password. Why this is coming? We can test this in Postman once and see, but something is wrong. Let's just do a sign up here. Property user / sign in. Why the issue? Sign in. The routes are same. Was the issue here? So if any problem comes, you can just debug like this, like me, what I'm doing. Let's just check what the issue is. Okay, so the method will be post, and now in this the message is coming user not found. But why in this it is coming 403 forbidden? Let's just copy paste and let's see it here why it is giving some issues. So it is giving incorrect password. So I have the same URL of the API, but why the problem is coming here? It should show us incorrect password. The same API is there. What's coming in console? What's happening? Let's test with test@gmail.com. Okay, I got it. In the alerts we have to set, I guess, right? All the things are okay. I think the error message is not set properly, so just change this to error.response.error.message. Now it is perfect, right? Incorrect password. So yeah, so if I sign in with a perfect password, you can see that authentication is closed. So sign in component is working perfectly fine. Now let's go to sign up. So in sign up also I will just copy and paste the same thing with all the hooks, validate inputs, and just copy the handle sign in function, just paste it here, change the name to sign up, set button loading. Instead of that, just use loading and disabled and all the stuff. Perfect. So instead of user sign in, use user sign up. Then set open auth. Let's just take it as a props, set open auth. And what else? All are changed. Button loading, change it to this. Perfect, right? So yeah, now it is perfect. Now let's just add the controls to the input boxes. So give it a value and handle change. Perfect. And this is done basically. And in this button click, use handle sign up, and let's copy this name. They give it a loading and disabled, right? Perfect. So sign up, sign in is perfectly done. Now the next thing is our which page. So now we should show our navbar key if someone is signed in, right? So I will take user, that is current user, as a user selector state.user that we have saved basically, right? in our Redux. And now I will pass that current user to our navbar. Now in the navbar, I will check if user is there, we should not show the sign in button. So I will take the props, that is current user, and in this we will be checking what should we check. So we will be checking that if current user is there, we will be rendering the user logo or image. So I will check if current user is present, then instead of and give it a question mark. So if current user is not present, then we are showing this button. Perfect. And if current user is there, we will show something else. We will be showing an avatar. So I will just copy paste avatar, just src as current user.image if it is present, or just show his name first letter. So perfect. And on button click, let's just dispatch a logout. So I will refine cause dispatch equals to use dispatch, which is used in logout button. So if you click on logout, it will show you that as logged out, and sign button should show, right? Perfect. And then we will be creating our favorites page also. We won't be creating, just I have created the route. You can just simply create the page as a listing page. It is very simple, right? So that is for you as a homework. So yeah, so mostly these are done. What else is left? Let's just see. Okay, so we have to make it responsive for smaller screen. We should have some mobile icons where we will be having our favorites and that thing. I think that is perfect. Perfect. And here also in current user, I will wrap this as an check. If current user is there, just only show a button to log out instead of the two buttons. Perfect. Our navbar is also done. Now only the thing that is left here is our card. So in this card we have some multiple properties like favorite, add to favorite, remove from favorite, these three things, right? So I have defined our dispatch and two hooks, that is favorite and favorite loading. So first time whenever the something is loaded, so it will load the favorite for each card. So I will check const check favorite, and in this I will write async, and in this asynchronous function we will be calling our first use state for and set it to false, that is set favorite loading as true. Then I will check the token from our local storage, because in this 3 only our token is required. So const token equals to local storage dot get item Airbnb app token. But let me remember, I didn't have said this one. But let's first write this function get favorite, where we are passing the token and the property ID in the body, right? And then we will be catching an error if an error is there, or instead of that I will set as set favorite is favorite. So basically we are taking the response, and in that we are checking if it is favorite, then we are setting the value as true, and if not, it false. And finally we are removing the loading and just call it in a use effect. And now in the menu item I will check favorite loading. Currently if it is loading, I will show progress. Then I will write in again a condition if it is favorite, then I will show favorite round with a red color, right? And if it is not favorite, then just show an outline. Now if you search something, it is showing not favorite. Perfect. But why the alert came? Something issue is there, right? So Airbnb token we haven't defined actually, so let's just define this one first. So whenever we are logging in, so at that time we should save the token in our local storage, so the next time we can get it easily, right? So I will write local storage dot set item, and I will give it the name Airbnb app token, and pass action dot payload dot token. Perfect. But we have to log in again, and in logout we are removing this thing, remove item. So now change the name to Airbnb app token. To remove this thing, create an alert of error, give it a finally what we had. So this is for add to favorite. So just create a new function for remove from favorite. Just change the thing, rest of the things are same, so I will just copy paste, and instead of set favorite I will set the favorite as false. Perfect. So now let's just add a on click function on this menu item. So I will just create an on click function. If favorite, then I will call the remove from favorite, and if not, then I will call the different function, that is add to favorite, right? So let's just reload, but instead of reload, let us just log out and sign in, so the issue will be solved. That is 500 error is coming. I will give the email address, password. Let's just log in. Incorrect password. What was my password? Rishabh@1. No, not @1. What was my password? Let's just get a new user. I will write test@1.com. Password. Okay, in sign in we have one issue. Some name is not there. Let's just see. In sign up, we are having, okay, we haven't passed the name. See, we have debug one issue while testing, right? So now you can see here it is logged in, and now you can see the error is gone. If you click and if you reload, you can see that it is coming perfectly in your favorite, right? So that is how you define your thing. So our card is done properly, right? So give it a thumbs up. And the favorite page just only show the user and populate. So we have that thing API, just you can simply use that and just create a new page and display the favorites that we have, right? So now coming back to the details page, what we have, delete from favorite is having some issue. Let's just see. So the method here is a patch. We are passing the data, but it is not removing. So in the routes we have, okay, so in the routes we have post, it will be post instead of patch, and now you can see that it is working perfectly fine, right? So yeah, that's it. So our card is done and most of the stuff is done. So our client and server is done. Now you can just create some more functionalities like booking the stuff. We have the API, but I haven't implemented. You can just implement that, very simple thing. And I've added some more properties. You can see how it will be looking. You can create the favorite page and the booking part, right? So that is a homework for you guys. So yeah, I hope that you have liked today's video, and if you have liked it, just give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and share it with your friends, and I will be coming up with more videos and new stuffs. Yeah, so thank you and bye bye. Have a great day.